Monday. Dear diary. My sister Lizzie died today. Wow. What a weird thing to say, you know? Because it's true. I mean, it sounds like the beginning of a poem that your teacher would read in English class or something. My sister Lizzie died today. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. Yeah, I mean, it's not like we didn't expect it. She's been missing for like months, and even before that, she was always in and out, running away, so Mom and I were always like, Lizzie's gone. Not that we said it to each other on a daily basis, or even said it at all. It was always just there, hanging in the air. Lizzie's gone. ... As stated by the New York Times, over 30% of teenage girls in the US admit they intentionally hurt themselves without the intention of suicide. In a quote by an anonymous author, there is no greater pain than watching someone you love their drugs more than you. This was the case for Hannah as she slowly watched her sister Lizzie take away her life. Losing her mother in the process, she seemed to choose Lizzie over her all the time, causing Hannah to pick up the only thing that made sense to her: a blade. All Hannah wanted was to be remembered as her mother's girl. From the section titled Things You Can't Tell Just by Looking at Her by Megan Mostyn Brown. Lizzie's gone, period. It's funny, you know? I didn't cry at all today, and I felt really bad because, well, you're supposed to cry when people die. But all I could think about all day is that if I were gonna jump off a bridge like her, I wouldn't do it in the middle of July. I would do it in November, the beginning of March, on one of those days where you wake up with a chill because it never really stops drizzling, and the bridge would be just a little bit slippery, and the water really cold, and people would have to wonder, did she do it on purpose? Or was the handrail too slick? But not today. Today was one of those days where it's like 98 degrees before noon, and all anyone can do is try to keep from sticking to the furniture. Mom hasn't said anything all day. I take that back. She hasn't said anything to me. She said thank you to the police officer who stopped by the house, and she mumbled Lizzie's name to the receptionist at the morgue. I didn't go in. I sat in a plastic chair in the hallway and counted the number of tiles from my feet to the front desk. There were 72. Anyways, I'm glad I didn't go in, you know, to look at the body and stuff. Because when people drown, they get all blue and bloated. And that's not how I'd like to think of her. There's gonna be a funeral. And who are we gonna invite? Because Mom and I didn't know Lizzie's friends. Mom pressed her for it, and they would fight, you know, breaking, screaming, yelling, etc. Pretty soon she just stopped coming home at all. Now that she's gone for good, it's like we can erase all the bad. Wow. It sounds like I'm glad she's dead. Tuesday. Dear diary. I have been thinking like a lot today, and it sucks because all I can think about is Lizzie. There was this article in the paper that mentioned her, saying how sad it was that her life ended so soon, and what a statement it made on the demise of adolescence in our society. They didn't even talk to us. They didn't even ask us about what happened. I mean, it's like they felt sorry for her without even knowing what really... I mean, she was a drug addict. This one night, right before she ran away for good, this car pulls up into the lawn and sort of throws her into the grass, and her face is in the grass, so I don't know if she's, you know. So I go outside to see what's going on, and I flip her over, and she's laughing, and her eyes, well, I can only see the white parts, and she says my name in this really gross way. I'm so afraid that Mom will see, or that the neighbors will hear, so I try to get her to go inside quietly. I splash water on her face to sober her up, I don't know, and I pinch my arm really hard because I don't want to see. Because all of this, well, it's just a lot when you're only 15, and I've started to hurt myself. Wednesday. Dear Diary. Last night, the house was like suffocating quiet, so I use a straight razor. I usually don't. I prefer the pink kind. Does the job, less damage. So I use a straight razor, and afterwards it's like fireworks and deep breaths and the good kind of weak knees all at once, and well, until I notice there's no point in being graphic. Suffice to say, there's a lot of blood, and I don't know how to stop it, and I start to feel sort of faint, and I don't want to call Mom, so I walk to the emergency room. Which is good, because they stitch me up. 10 stitches with the kind of thread that will dissolve after the wound's all healed. But since I'm a minor, they won't let me go home. I have to sit in this office with this nurse, and she asked me if I've ever done anything like this before. Which is the stupidest question I've ever heard, because clearly she can see the marks, and I answer yes in this voice that doesn't even sound like me. And I have to wait for Mom to come home. No matter how much I tell her that I'm a good person and I get straight A's, she won't let me go home. Thursday. Dear Diary. Mom's at home planning for the funeral. She's not at work, and the knives and my razor, you know, the one I used to shave my legs with, are gone. And for dinner, we had soup and salad, you know, things you don't have to cut. And I notice that she keeps peeking at me. I mean, it's not like I've stopped. I can't. I've just moved my activities to a new region. Here. And the only thing keeping me sane is this stupid fantasy I have where I swoop everything off the table and all the plates come crashing down, and Mom's in such a shock that I did such a horrible, violent thing. You know, like how they do it in movies when they're trying to make a point? And I strip down to my underwear and I tell her what each and every scar meant. And I'd say this one I did after you yelled at me because Lizzie broke curfew for the 87th time. And this is from when you missed my school play because you were too busy roaming the city at night looking for her. And this one's from the 6 months that she was missing. And these along my arm are when we had to go bail her out of jail. These are from when I mopped the house, cleaned it and everything, and you didn't even notice because you were too busy looking for her because she had stolen a stupid stereo. And this one is when you left me at a conveyor belt full of groceries because you thought you saw her in the parking lot. And while all the normal families loaded their brown bags into their station wagons to go have normal family dinners, I was the mother who held your head in my lap because it wasn't her. And this long one, that curse from my wrist, it's because you haven't spoken to me since last week when she died. I'm still here. I still exist.